"This is no costume, sir." The airport manager scoffed, dismissing the tomb guard as if he were a performer in a parade. Sergeant Malik Johnson stood resolute, his ceremonial uniform gleaming under the harsh lights of Chicago O'Hare. Every badge a tribute to the fallen. Passengers gawked, some snapping photos, others murmuring. To them, he was a curiosity. To the manager, a nuisance. "Your first-class ticket is invalid," he snapped, tearing it up. Malik didn't waver, but one phone call later. Every plane in Terminal 3 would come to a standstill, and the man who doubted him would face a reckoning no one anticipated. Before we dive into this story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. Sergeant Malik Johnson, a proud black soldier of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, stepped through the bustling terminal of Chicago O'Hare International Airport. His polished black boots clicked against the gleaming tile floor. His navy blue dress uniform, crisp and immaculate, bore the weight of tradition-gray trousers, white gloves, a kepi hat marking him as a sentinel of the tomb of the unknown soldier. Every stitch, every badge spoke of sacrifice, honor, and duty. At 28, Malik carried himself with the disciplined precision of a man who had walked the mat at Arlington National Cemetery, guarding the fallen through rain, snow, and relentless summer heat. Today, he was bound for Washington, D.C., for a special memorial ceremony at Arlington, a duty that required him to wear the ceremonial uniform. As a black tomb guard, he knew his presence in this storied role challenged stereotypes, and he wore the uniform with pride, honoring both the fallen and his own heritage. Heads turned as he passed, some with admiration, others with whispers. To most, he was a striking figure, a living embodiment of history. To Malik, he was a soldier doing his duty. He approached the first-class check-in counter for Flight 472 to D.C., a single leather travel bag in his gloved hand. The line was short, just a businesswoman typing furiously on her phone ahead of him. Malik stood at parade rest, his posture impeccable, his face composed. Years of standing sentinel had taught him to ignore distractions. Whether they were tourists snapping photos or sidelong glances at his costume, his commanding officer, Colonel Marcus Wright, had booked him a first-class seat due to the last-minute nature of the trip and the need to arrive in pristine condition. Malik wasn't one for luxury, but orders were orders. When his turn came, he stepped forward with measured steps. "Good morning," he said, his voice calm but carrying the quiet authority of his training. "Sergeant Malik Johnson, 3rd Infantry Regiment. I have a first-class reservation on the 1042 Washington." D.C. He placed his military ID, passport, and ticket confirmation on the counter, aligning them with precision. The counter agent, Tanya Miller, according to her name tag, looked up and hesitated. Her eyes widened at the sight of the kepi hat, the polished brass, the starched uniform of a black soldier in such a revered role. Her professional smile wavered. One moment, please," she stammered, reaching for her phone. They turned slightly, her voice dropping to a hushed tone. "Greg, I need you at first-class check-in." "Yes, now." Malik stood motionless, his expression betraying nothing. He was accustomed to scrutiny, but the unease in Tanya's voice put him on alert. Within minutes, a man in a tailored suit approached, his name tag identifying him as Greg Thornton, terminal manager. Thornton eyed Malik with thinly veiled skepticism. "Is there a problem?" Malik asked, his tone neutral. "Sir, may I ask the purpose of your attire?" Thornton said, gesturing vaguely at the uniform. "I'm on official duty, traveling to Arlington for a memorial ceremony," Malik replied, indicating his documents. "My commanding officer arranged the booking." Thornton picked up the ticket confirmation, examining it with exaggerated scrutiny. "This is highly irregular. We don't typically see military personnel in ceremonial dress on commercial flights." "The schedule change was unexpected," Malik explained. "I'm due in D.C. by evening." Thornton leaned toward Tanya, whispering, though Malik could still hear. "Call security." Tanya nodded, picking up the phone again. Malik remained composed, though he noticed other passengers watching, some with curiosity, others with discomfort. As a black tomb guard, he was no stranger to skepticism, but it stung when it came from those who should respect the uniform. Two security officers approached, their badges reading Jamal Carter and Emily Nguyen. Carter, a tall man with a shaved head, straightened slightly upon seeing Malik, offering a subtle nod of respect. "Sir," Carter said, his tone professional but warm, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but we've been asked to verify your documentation." "Of course," Malik replied calmly. "I understand protocol must be followed," Thornton interjected, his voice firm. "We need to confirm this uniform is authorized. There have been incidents of unauthorized individuals wearing ceremonial outfits. I can assure you," Malik began, but Thornton cut him off. "Security will need to confirm your identity and authorization to travel in this manner," Thornton said. "Please step aside." Carter gestured toward a private screening area. "This way, Sergeant," he said quietly. As they moved, Malik overheard Nguyen mutter to Carter, "This is nonsense. My brother's in the army. You don't question a tomb guard like this." "I know," Carter replied under his breath. "But orders are orders." In the screening area, Carter checked Malik's military ID against his passport and ticket with evident reluctance. "Everything's in order, Sergeant," he said, returning the documents. "I apologize for the inconvenience." "No apology necessary," Malik replied. "Security measures exist for a reason." Thornton entered, his expression still skeptical. "Have we confirmed this individual's identity?" he asked as if Malik weren't standing there. "Yes, sir," Nguyen responded. "His documentation is legitimate. Military ID confirms he's Sergeant Malik Johnson of the 3rd Infantry, traveling on official orders." Thornton circled Malik, eyeing the uniform with disdain. "All this pageantry seems excessive for a flight," he remarked. "Do taxpayers know how much these uniforms cost?" Malik remained at parade rest, eyes fixed forward. "This uniform represents the fallen, sir. It's worn with permission from the highest authorities." "Well, it's causing a disruption," Thornton said dismissively. "People are staring, taking photos. It's a security concern." Back at the counter, Thornton reviewed Malik's ticket with Tanya, while onlookers watched with growing interest. "This first-class ticket," Thornton said, holding the confirmation like it was suspect. "How exactly did you acquire it?" I explained. "My commanding officer arranged it," Malik replied evenly. "And you expect us to believe the military books first-class tickets for its personnel?" Thornton's tone dripped with skepticism. "These seats cost over $600. Malik maintained his composure. "Due to the urgent nature of the reassignment and the ceremonial requirements, yes, the Army authorizes appropriate accommodations." A man in line behind them spoke up. "For heaven's sake, he's a tomb guard. Why are you treating him like a criminal?" Thornton turned briefly. "Sir, we're following standard security protocols." He returned to Malik. "How did you afford this ticket personally? Our records show it was purchased yesterday." "I didn't purchase it personally," Malik said, his patience steady. "It was arranged through military channels." "So you have no proof of purchase?" Thornton pressed. "The confirmation of my orders should be sufficient," Malik replied. Thornton exchanged a glance with Tanya, who looked increasingly uneasy. "I'm afraid we can't verify the legitimacy of this ticket," Thornton said. "For security reasons, we'll need to reassign you to economy class." A ripple of disbelief passed through the onlookers. Malik processed the blatant discrimination, cloaked as a security concern. "Is there a specific regulation I violated?" he asked calmly. "Sir, this isn't a debate," Thornton said firmly. "We have full discretion over flight assignments for security purposes. Your attire and inability to verify the ticket raise red flags. You can accept economy seating or reschedule your travel." Malik understood the reality. Making a scene would reflect poorly on the tomb guard and the institution he represented. As a black soldier, he was acutely aware of the scrutiny he faced, and he refused to give Thornton the satisfaction of a reaction. "As you wish," he said with dignity. "Won't cause a scene." Thornton seemed relieved, quickly processing the reassignment and handing Malik a new boarding pass for C-2B in economy. As Malik turned to leave, Carter approached. "Sergeant, I want to apologize," he said quietly. "This isn't right, thank you, officer," Malik replied. "Some battles aren't worth fighting. Boarding the aircraft was a challenge." Malik removed his kepi hat to fit through the door, tucking it under his arm. The narrow aisle barely accommodated his broad shoulders in the ceremonial jacket. Flight attendants stared as he made his way to the back. When he reached row 22, he found an elderly woman in the window seat, her face lighting up at the sight of Malik's uniform. "Well, I'll be," the woman said, straightening. "A tomb guard on my flight." "Good morning, ma'am," Malik said politely. storing his hat in the overhead bin and easing into the middle seat. "Eleanor Harris," the woman said, extending a hand. "Air Force veteran, retired. Served 25 years before they sent me packing." Malik shook her hand. "Sergeant Malik Johnson, 3rd Infantry Regiment." Eleanor grinned. "I recognized that uniform the second I saw it. My unit worked security at Arlington back in '76. Toughest job I ever saw." "And you boys never flinched." Malik smiled slightly, adjusting his jacket in the cramped space. Eleanor leaned closer. "I saw what happened up front," she said quietly. "That manager had no right treating you that way. Disgraceful. Just a misunderstanding, I'm sure," Malik said diplomatically. "Nonsense," Eleanor said firmly. "That was discrimination, plain and simple. You should file a complaint when we land." "There are bigger battles to fight, Ms. Harris," Malik replied. Eleanor chuckled. "Call me Eleanor." "And maybe you're right. Still, in my day, there was more respect for the uniform." Their conversation flowed as passengers boarded. Eleanor sharing stories of her service during the Cold War. Malik listened with genuine interest, his quiet dignity as a black tomb guard resonating with her tales of breaking barriers in the Air Force. Nearby passengers eavesdropped, drawn to the animated veterans' stories and the young soldier's calm presence. 30 minutes into the flight, as Eleanor recounted a story about guard duty at Arlington, a commotion erupted several rows back. "Is there a doctor on board?" Flight attendant's voice cut through the cabin. "We need medical assistance immediately." Malik turned to see a man collapse in the aisle, a woman clutching his hand in panic. "Excuse me," he said to Eleanor, unbuckling his seatbelt and standing. Eleanor moved her legs to let him pass. Malik moved swiftly, his uniform drawing every eye. The flight attendant, Priya Sharma, knelt beside a middle-aged man lying motionless. "I'm trained in emergency medical response," Malik said calmly. "May I assist?" Priya looked up, relief flooding her face. "Yes, please." He just collapsed without warning. Malik knelt beside the man, checking for a pulse. "No pulse," he said clearly. "I'm initiating CPR. Please notify the captain we have a passenger in cardiac arrest." With practiced precision, Malik began chest compressions, his ceremonial jacket restricting his movement but not his focus. He counted under his breath 1, 2, 3, 4. The cabin fell silent. Passengers watching wide-eyed as the black tomb guard they dismissed as ceremonial worked with professional precision. Priya returned with the AED. Malik attached the pads to the man's chest, maintaining his rhythm. The machine analyzed, then advised a shock. "Clear," Malik said, ensuring everyone was back before delivering it. After another cycle of CPR, Malik checked again. "I have a pulse," he announced, weak but present. "Keep the AED attached and monitor closely." The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're making an emergency landing at Pittsburgh International Airport. Please remain seated with seatbelts fastened. Cabin crew, prepare for landing." Malik monitored the man whose name he learned was David Lee. "Stay with me, Mr. Lee," he said quietly, his voice steady, helps waiting on the ground. When the plane touched down, paramedics rushed aboard. "Suspected cardiac arrest," Malik reported. "Patient lost consciousness and pulse approximately 20 minutes ago." CPR was administered, followed by one shock from the AED. Pulse returned but remains weak. The lead paramedic nodded. "Textbook work," she said. "A few more minutes without CPR, and he wouldn't have made it." David's wife clutched Malik's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, tears streaming. "How can we ever repay you?" "No repayment necessary, ma'am," Malik said. "I'm just glad I could help." In the terminal, Malik found a quiet corner away from curious stares. He checked his watch. The delay would make him late for the Arlington ceremony. Protocol required him to report in. He dialed Colonel Wright. After 2 rings, a crisp voice answered, "Colonel Wright." "Sergeant Johnson reporting, sir." "I'm experiencing a travel delay. You should have landed in D.C. 20 minutes ago," Wright said. "The Pentagon shows you're still in Pittsburgh." "Yes, sir." "There was a medical emergency aboard. We've made an unscheduled landing." "Were you involved, Sergeant?" Wright asked, his tone shifting. "I provided assistance until paramedics arrived, sir." A chuckle came through. "Always the hero." The captain radioed that a tomb guard performed life-saving CPR mid-flight. That you, sir? The passenger is stable and receiving care? Well done, Wright said, a rare note of approval in his voice. But how the hell did you end up in economy? I authorized first class for your travel. Malik hesitated. There was a seating issue at departure, sir. What kind of issue? Wright pressed, his voice sharpening. It's not significant, sir, Malik said. Full report now, Wright ordered. Malik straightened instinctively. Upon arrival at O'Hare, my first-class reservation was questioned by airline staff despite valid documentation. I was denied boarding in first class and reassigned to economy. On what grounds? Wright demanded, his voice low and dangerous. The terminal manager expressed concerns about my uniform and the legitimacy of my ticket, sir. There seemed to be skepticism about a soldier, particularly a black soldier being authorized for premium seating? Are you telling me you were discriminated against because of your uniform and race? Wright said, his tone icy. I deemed it inappropriate to create a scene, sir, Malik said. Uniform represents something larger than personal indignity. A long silence followed. Your restraint is commendable, Sergeant Wright said finally, his calm belying anger. But this isn't just about you. It's about respect for the Army and the tomb you guard. Which airline? American Airlines, sir? Terminal 3 at O'Hare. The manager was Greg Thornton. I see, Wright said, his voice coldly professional. Carry on to D.C. I'll handle this. At O'Hare, Greg Thornton was reviewing manifests when his phone rang. The caller ID read Executive Management. He straightened. Thornton speaking. Greg, this is Sandra Ellis, Director of Operations, a voice said, heavy with tension. I need you in my office now. Terminal 3 operations are temporarily suspended. Suspended? Thornton repeated, incredulous. On what grounds? Just get here, Ellis said. Thornton hurried to Ellis's office, mind racing. The room was crowded. Tanya Miller, pale and nervous. Security officers Carter and Nguyen, 2 suits with FAA credentials. And a man in army dress blues, insignia marking him as high-ranking. Greg Thornton, Ellis began. This is Colonel Marcus Wright, 3rd Infantry Regiment, and FAA representatives Alicia Brooks and Daniel Kim. They're here about an incident involving Sergeant Malik Johnson. Thornton faltered. I'm sorry, who? The tomb guard you refused proper seating this morning, Wright said, his voice sharp. The same guard who saved a passenger's life during an emergency landing that might have been avoided had he been in his assigned seat. Thornton paled. That was a security precaution. Our protocols. I've reviewed your protocols, Brooks interrupted. None support discriminatory treatment based on military status, uniform, or race. Quite the opposite. Ellis gestured to a screen showing security footage. We've reviewed the incident. What I see is a distinguished black soldier treated with contempt despite valid documentation, and this isn't isolated. We found similar complaints over the past year, all under your team, Mr. Thornton, Kim spoke up. Based on our review, we're ordering a full operational audit. All flights from Terminal 3 are grounded until we ensure compliance. 2 days later, Malik stood at attention at Arlington, his ceremonial duties complete. The tomb of the unknown soldier loomed before him, a silent reminder of why he served. As a black tomb guard, he felt the weight of history, not just of the fallen, but of those who fought for their place in it. An aide approached. Sergeant Johnson, you have visitors? In the reception room, Colonel Wright waited with Sandra Ellis from American Airlines. At ease, Sergeant Wright said as Malik snapped to attention. Ms. Ellis has something to discuss. Ellis stepped forward, her expression somber. Sergeant Johnson, I'm here to offer American Airlines' sincere apology for your treatment at O'Hare. It was unprofessional, discriminatory, and against our values. We're addressing both the racial and military bias displayed. Thank you, ma'am, Malik said. It's accepted. We've made changes, Ellis continued. Mr. Thornton has been removed, and Ms. Miller is reassigned pending training. The FAA audit cost us millions, but it exposed systemic issues, including biases we're now addressing. Wright watched Malik. The passenger you saved, David Lee, has recovered. His family wants to meet you in D.C. Malik nodded, relief crossing his face. That's excellent news, sir. There's more, Ellis said. We're developing a protocol for military personnel on official duty, with a focus on eliminating bias. We'd value your input as a black tomb guard to ensure it's inclusive. Malik considered this. The delay in Pittsburgh was a blessing in disguise, ma'am. Had I been in first class, I might not have been there to help Mr. Lee. Sometimes we're exactly where we need to be, even if it's not where we planned. Ellis nodded. Well said, Sergeant. Have you ever been judged unfairly based on your appearance or identity? Wright asked, his tone softer. How do you handle disrespect? Do you stand firm like Sergeant Johnson, or do you fight back differently? Share your story. Your voice matters. This is a story of a black soldier and a stranger, of a turbulent flight from Chicago, of a uniform and a heartbeat that turned indignity into valor. It's a reminder that at the tomb of the unknown soldier, where every salute honors the fallen, sometimes the greatest tribute is a life saved in the chaos of the moment. So, pause today, think of Malik, of David Lee, of the nameless heroes whose sacrifices echo in our actions. Share this story not just to honor them, but to remind us all that duty shines brightest when it serves humanity. And if you're ever at Arlington, watch the Sentinels march, count their precise steps, and listen. You might just feel the pulse of a nation steady and unbroken through the weight of sacrifice.